Well, please, last visitors, enter the room, take a seat, and feel warmly welcome to the 9th Circular Economy Conference. I'm happy to have so many people here and so many different countries. 40 countries are in the room, and different professions like politicians, businessmen, academics, students, some. So I hope there will be a lot of discussions after our speeches, which I think are quite interesting this day. I only take the floor right now to introduce my president for an introductory and welcome speech. Norbert Kuhn. Please, Norbert, floor is yours for addressing the audience.
Yes, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to welcome you this morning here in Birkenfeld, a site of the University of Applied Sciences Trier, which is in fact our youngest site, but it's it's one of our most successful sites that we have created in the last years, even in terms of research projects and third-party projects. Yeah, we organized this conference in close cooperation with the Federal Ministry of Environment, Energy, Food and Forest. And from the Ministry, I'm happy to welcome this morning Dr. Thomas Eberle, who will be the next speaker this morning and will also welcome you here for this conference. We also thank the Ministry for the fruitful cooperation that we have in many aspects, and also for the substantial financial support they give us for our institute and also for other projects. And I'm also very happy to welcome the head of the county Birkenfeld, Dr. Matthias Schneider, who is one of the strongest supporters of our campus, and he promotes the ideas of the campus in the region and all over the world. And also he is one of the promoters of the ideas of circular economy. So welcome, Matthias, this morning here at the Umweltcampus. And furthermore, it's a great honor for me to welcome all the international guests. Peter also already said that we have guests here from more than 40 countries from all over the world. From each continent is represented this morning here in Birkenfeld, and we are very proud to see this audience here this morning. The international mixture of the participants shows that circular economy is a worldwide topic. It works in regional contexts, but also has a very much global impact. And our university here is located in the heart of Europe, within the greater region. We call this region composed of 4 European countries: Germany, France, Belgium, and Luxembourg. And this region gives us, with the Interreg programs, this which is a part of the EU funding programs, the chance to develop methodologies and projects and ideas that can be proven locally in the region and then can be spread all over the world. The regions allow us also to build networks and to bring together partners from different disciplines with different perspectives on problems and solutions. And this shows us that communication and cooperation makes science work and allows ideas to become reality. So I also hope that this conference will provide you with an excellent platform for exchanging your ideas and leading them into projects. And I wish all of you that the conference will help you to strengthen your networks, to enhance your networks, and to establish new ones. And let me finish my short welcome note with many thanks to the team and personally to Peter Heck, the team of IFAS, for organizing this conference. So many participants mean also a lot of work for the people in this institute, and I'd like to thank very much to Peter and his team for taking these efforts and for making this conference work. So have a good time, and I hope you will enjoy your stay in Birkenfeld. Thank you very much.
As Professor Kuhn mentioned, we have a long-standing cooperation with our communities and also with our county. That's why I'm very happy that Dr. Matthias Schneider came today here and gives a little welcome speech, introduces his nice county to you, because it's one of the energy motivation counties we have in Rheinland-Palatinate. A lot of things happened, and he's one of the people right in the middle of it. That's why, Dr. Schneider, I'm happy to give you the floor now.
Meine sehr verehrten Damen und Herren, seien Sie ganz, ganz herzlich willkommen bei uns hier im Landkreis Birkenfeld, hier in Deutschland. Der Blick hinunter ins Publikum verrät, dass wir heute sehr, sehr international aufgestellt sind. Das freut mich umso mehr. Tatsächlich, so wie es hier auch schon der Präsident der Hochschule, Norbert Kuhn, erwähnt hat, ist es für uns als Landkreis Birkenfeld sehr, sehr wichtig und bedeutsam, auch mit Ihnen zusammen die 9. Kreislaufwirtschaftskonferenz auch in diesem Jahr hier begehen zu können. Das ist für das Renommee, für den Ruf unserer Hochschule hier im Landkreis immer wieder ein Aushängeschild, mit diesem Thema weltweit Sie mit auf den Weg nehmen zu können. Und es ist nicht nur ein Verdacht, nein, es ist so, es ist keine Vermutung, nein, es ist so. Unsere Hochschule hier ist tatsächlich, wie es auch in dem Tagungsprogramm steht, Europas Circular Economy Hotspot. Ohne weiteres, das muss man so sehen. Diesen Ruf hat sich unsere Hochschule in den letzten Jahren tapfer erkämpft. Und so bin ich auch stolz, dass wir tatsächlich auch die 9. Kreislaufwirtschaftskonferenz mit Ihnen hier in diesem Jahr verankern können. Der Weltklimarat hat es ja im Oktober in Südkorea, in Incheon, sehr deutlich gemacht, wie dringend der Handlungsbedarf inzwischen weltweit global zu sehen ist. Und aus diesem Grund alleine freue ich mich schon, dass wir sehr international heute hier aufgestellt sind und genau auch die Themen von der Basis her, die die Gesellschaft weltweit interessieren und beflügeln sollten, auch wenn man sicher in einem inneren Diskurs trefflich darüber streiten kann, ob die Menschheit es tatsächlich schaffen wird, noch die Kurve zu kriegen. Ich hoffe es und gebe mich da sehr zuversichtlich, alleine wenn ich heute in das Publikum herein sehe, dass wir es doch noch schaffen können. Umso wichtiger ist, dass wir alle Bausteine, die dazu beitragen könnten, tatsächlich die Folgen der globalen Klimaerwärmung, die tatsächlich auch heute schon in Deutschland spürbar sind, doch noch abwenden zu können. Die Tagesordnung verrät ja, dass die Kreislaufwirtschaftsprojekte sehr international aufgestellt sind. Und ich habe der Tagesordnung auch entnommen, dass die Vernetzung über diese 9. Kreislaufwirtschaftskonferenz auch sehr gut ist. Sie finden ja in dem Programm auch ein sehr reichhaltiges Programm, das tatsächlich vielerlei Bedürfnisse bei Ihnen auch befriedigen wird. Ich wünsche Ihnen, dass Sie aus dieser Kreislaufwirtschaftskonferenz möglichst viele, viele nützliche Anregungen mitnehmen und auch anregende Gespräche untereinander finden und tatsächlich das Netzwerk noch viel enger knüpfen können. Herzlichen Dank für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit.
Vielen Dank, Dr. Schneider. Es ist mir auch eine ganz besondere Freude. It's my special pleasure. Sorry, switching to English. My special pleasure to talk about our ministry Ministry of Environment, who has been supporting us for a long time, doing our circular economy, environment technology work, and the ministry's representative today should be our state secretary, but he has other business to do today. I think we will learn later on what he is actually up to, what was more important to come to our event. But the head of department, Mr. Eberle, is here today, and he will give us insights about the innovative work in this ministry and in the state of Rhine-Palatinate, especially referring to circular economy and environmental protection and clean technologies, also things which we are quite proud of, to be in Germany one of the front runners, and that's why this university has a very good relationship with our ministry. Dr. Eberle, I'm really happy that you could make it today, and I'm looking forward to your speech.
Ja, thank you very much. Sehr geehrte Gastgeber, sehr geehrter Herr Präsident Professor Kuhn, sehr geehrter Herr Professor Heck, sehr geehrter Herr Landrat Dr. Schneider, sehr geehrter Herr Bundestagsabgeordneter von Holz, sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, ich freue mich sehr, Sie im Namen der Landesregierung zur 9. Internationalen Kreislaufwirtschaftskonferenz in Rheinland-Pfalz begrüßen zu dürfen. Besonders herzlich möchte ich unsere zahlreichen, hochrangigen internationalen Gäste aus Politik, Wirtschaft und Verwaltung willkommen heißen. Im Landtag geht es diese Tage auch um Ressourcen, nämlich um Haushalt. Das ist der Grund, warum Herr Staatssekretär Dr. Griese mich gebeten hat, ihn hier heute zu vertreten, und ich bin sehr froh, hier sein zu dürfen. My German is not very good, but at least it's better than my English, so I will continue in German. Sorry. Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, seien Sie alle herzlich gegrüßt. Ich bin froh und stolz, Sie als Gäste hier in Rheinland-Pfalz begrüßen zu dürfen. Ich freue mich, heute gemeinsam mit Ihnen über ein wichtiges Thema zu reden, über die großen Herausforderungen, die sich uns durch Klimawandel, Ressourcenverknappung und Umweltverschmutzung stellen. Wie können wir unseren Wohlstand auch zukünftig sichern und dabei verantwortungsvoll mit Umwelt und Ressourcen umgehen? Wie können wir dem Klimawandel Einhalt gebieten, der immer bedrohlicher wird? Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, auch wenn es immer noch Menschen gibt, die dies leugnen, der Klimawandel ist leider eine Realität. Und er betrifft uns hier in Rheinland-Pfalz genauso wie die Menschen weltweit, in allen Ländern und Regionen dieser Welt. Es ist entscheidend, dass wir uns weltweit gemeinsam für den Klimaschutz einsetzen. Nur gemeinsam können wir die schlimmsten Folgen des Klimawandels noch abwenden. Vor etwas mehr als 2 Wochen hat der Weltklimarat IPCC seinen Sonderbericht veröffentlicht. Darin stellt er dar, dass eine Begrenzung der Erderwärmung auf 1,5 Grad Celsius gerade noch möglich ist. Und diese Begrenzung ist auch dringend notwendig. Der Weltklimarat hat dabei auch deutlich gemacht, dass wir das nur erreichen können, wenn wir jetzt umgehend und entschlossen handeln. Ich zitiere wörtlich: Die globale Erwärmung auf 1,5 Grad zu begrenzen, erfordert rasche, weitreichende und beispiellose Veränderungen in sämtlichen Bereichen der Gesellschaft. Der IPCC stellt fest, dass dafür die globalen Treibhausgasemissionen bis 2030 um 45% unter das Niveau von 2010 gesenkt werden und bis 2050 sie unter dem Strich bei Null liegen müssen. Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, wir in Rheinland-Pfalz sind fest entschlossen, unseren Beitrag zu leisten. Bis zum Jahr 2050 wollen wir eine Reduktion des Treibhausgasausstoßes von nahezu 100% erreichen. Wir befinden uns auf einem sehr guten Weg dahin. Bereits heute haben wir eine Einsparung der Treibhausgasemissionen von 37% erreicht. Rheinland-Pfalz gehört seit Jahren zu den Ländern in Deutschland, die bei der Energiewende am konsequentesten vorgehen. Jede zweite in Rheinland-Pfalz produzierte Kilowattstunde stammt inzwischen aus erneuerbaren Energien. Damit sind wir beim Ausbau bundesweit Spitze. In einem nächsten Schritt wollen wir nun auch die Wärmewende schaffen. Wir fördern intelligente, nachhaltige Quartierskonzepte und kommunale Nahwärmenetze auf Basis der erneuerbaren Energien. In Rheinland-Pfalz gibt es heute schon rund 120 kommunale Nahwärmenetze, die klimafreundliche Wärme bereitstellen. Und wir wollen noch mehr erreichen. In der Industrie kann insbesondere durch Maßnahmen der Ressourceneffizienz mit relativ geringem finanziellen Einsatz nicht nur eine große Klimaschutzwirkung erzielt werden, diese Maßnahmen sind auch wirtschaftlich gesehen enorm profitabel. Wirtschaftlicher Erfolg und Klimaschutz schließen sich also keineswegs aus, sondern ergänzen sich eigentlich. Mit dem Effizienzcheck Rheinland-Pfalz, kurz F-Check, haben wir ein unbürokratisches Instrumentarium für Unternehmen geschaffen, mit dem sie ressourceneffizienter und damit klimafreundlicher produzieren können. Mit dem F-Check können Unternehmen daher nicht nur CO2-Emissionen, sondern auch Kosten für Strom, Wärme und Rohstoffe einsparen. Klima- und Ressourcenschutz in der Produktion bedeutet daher auch immer eine höhere Wettbewerbsfähigkeit für die Unternehmen. Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, genau darum geht es. Es geht um die Verbindung von Ökologie und Ökonomie. Wir müssen das Wirtschaftswachstum vom Anstieg der Treibhausgasemissionen und vom Ressourcenverbrauch entkoppeln. Nicht nur der Klimawandel mahnt uns zur Eile, auch die Endlichkeit von fossilen Rohstoffen und Metallen, vor allem von Edelmetallen und seltenen Erden. Darin liegen große Chancen für Wachstum und Wohlstand für alle. Diese Chance können wir gemeinsam nutzen, wenn wir jetzt konsequent neue Strategien entwickeln und umsetzen, um die alte Linearwirtschaft in eine neue, zukunftsfähige Kreislaufwirtschaft zu überführen. Kreislaufwirtschaft, das bedeutet für uns weit mehr als die bloße Vermeidung von Abfällen. Kreislaufwirtschaft, das bedeutet Rohstoffe sparsam zu nutzen, aber auch der zielgerichtete Umgang mit Abfällen und die möglichst umfassende Weiterverwertung von Materialien in Kreislaufsystemen. Dazu ist ein Denken in Stoffströmen vonnöten. Oberste Priorität hat dabei die konsequente Nutzung erneuerbarer Energien sowie die stoffliche und energetische Verwertung aller Materialien. Ein wichtiges Instrument dafür ist das Stoffstrommanagement, das die Verflechtung der Stoffströme von der Rohstoffgewinnung über die Produktion und den Konsum bis zur Entsorgung transparent macht und die damit verbundene regionale Wertschöpfung aufzeigt. Für den Umstieg von der Linear- zur Kreislaufwirtschaft sind aber auch technologische Innovationen vonnöten. Gemeinsam mit der Wissenschaft und der Industrie müssen wir daher nach neuen technologischen Lösungen suchen, die zu innovativen Produkten und Dienstleistungen führen. Zu diesem Zweck haben wir das Umwelttechniknetzwerk Ecolines Rheinland-Pfalz ins Leben gerufen, das mittlerweile fast 90 Mitglieder umfasst. Ecolines verbindet die Key Player der Industrie mit den Key Playern der Wissenschaft, wie der Hochschule Trier. Die Technologien zum Schutz von Klima, Ressourcen und Umwelt haben sich in den letzten Jahren zu einer globalen Industrie mit beeindruckenden Wachstumsraten entwickelt. Mit 3,4 Millionen Arbeitsplätzen in Europa sind die grünen Technologien bereits heute ein wichtiger Wirtschaftsfaktor. Und ihre Bedeutung wird in den nächsten Jahren noch zunehmen. Bereits heute liegt das weltweite Marktvolumen für grüne Technologien bei über 2.500 Milliarden Euro. Bis zum Jahr 2025 soll das Marktvolumen weltweit auf fast 5.400 Milliarden Euro wachsen, sich also mehr als verdoppeln. Auch in Rheinland-Pfalz spielt die Umwelttechnikbranche eine große Rolle. Die Branche ist mit einem Anteil von 11% am Bruttoinlandsprodukt und jährlichen Wachstumsraten von bis zu 16% besonders gut aufgestellt. Nicht ohne Stolz kann ich sagen, dass wir damit im europaweiten Vergleich einen Spitzenplatz belegen. Von der Leistungsfähigkeit unserer Umwelttechnikunternehmen konnten Sie sich beim Besichtigungsprogramm in dieser Woche ein Bild machen. Die genannten Beispiele zeigen auf, wie viel wir in Rheinland-Pfalz in Sachen Klimaschutz unternehmen. Wir haben erkannt, dass Umwelt und Wirtschaft keine Gegensätze sind. Aus diesem Grund wollen wir aktiv den Wandel von der Linear- zur Kreislaufwirtschaft gestalten. Hierzu sind wir auf einem guten Weg und diesen Weg möchten wir mit Ihnen auch gemeinsam gehen. Sehr geehrte Damen und Herren, der bedrohliche Anstieg der Erderwärmung ist noch zu stoppen, doch wir müssen jetzt handeln. Lassen Sie uns heute gemeinsam die Weichen stellen, um auch zukünftig Wohlstand in einer intakten Umwelt für uns und zukünftige Generationen zu sichern. Ich danke Ihnen für Ihre Aufmerksamkeit und wünsche Ihnen einen spannenden Konferenztag mit vielen neuen Erkenntnissen und interessanten Gesprächen. Vielen Dank.
Die Fernsteuerung. Wo ist die Remote? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, after these welcome speeches and some insights on Ranaplatinate and the efforts we're doing in this state, now my job will be in roughly 30 minutes to push you into the circular economy world. This is difficult because it's a theoretical thing, but it's also very practical, so I need your cooperation. I mean, you must use your brain. Now, so not sleeping, not discussing while I'm speaking, after. Well, for those few people who did not join the introductory speech on Monday, you are here CO2 neutral in this building and this campus. This is the only university in the world which has a positive carbon balance by heating, cooling, and electricity. And this is, of course, an environmental thing. We all want to do environmental things, but only 5% of our population want to pay money for it. So this only works if you also can show that environmental things pay off. And this university has a lot of added values, why I recommend to every university to copy it. We have companies set up using waste which was previously disposed of and paid for with a lot of money, people's money, and this waste is now a resource to heat, cool, and supply with electricity something like 2,700 people. So we turn the problem into an opportunity. We use it for clean energy, independency of energy, climate protection, job creation, taxes are paid by those companies, and we can use it for educational purposes. So why are we not all doing it? This is already 20 years old, and still we are the only campus doing this. We have a biogas plant for our kitchen waste, and we have a wood chip cogeneration heat and power plant for our woody waste, because we only burn things which are burning. It's simple, but if you look into the industry, they also burn things which are not burning, because they can make money. So it's a co-development. Develop a place, and actually the founder of this idea, Dr. Theilen, is in this room. If you want to know how this idea gets started and the problems in implementing it, you can talk to him later on. Maybe he can show himself. So university was set up, and there was an industrial park founded to supply the university. Two win effects, university per se and industrial park. Jobs, and the waste problem is just evaporating because waste is a resource. Jobs, investment, which is paying back. It's a nice investment, so it's not spent money, it's invested money with a business plan. Companies set up, taxes paid, independency, climate protection. So this is a circular economy world, actually. So you are here in the circular economy world, at least with regard to this aspect. Circular economy is difficult because you have to change your mindset. We are all actually educated in being wasteful animals. We grab, we use inefficiently, and we throw. And we even have huge universities built around this inefficient metabolism. And we educate our young people, and we teach our mayors to be part of this system. The other system which is also existing, which works, there are examples all over the world, not only in Germany and Europe, is the circular economy world. You think before grabbing. You think before metabolizing, having a higher efficiency, and you think before you throw. So you're not doing this anymore, grabbing without thinking, producing inefficiently. Efficiency rate industry is 30% in Germany. It's a shame. When you drive your car, you have a 20% efficiency rate, 80% of fuel is lost. And this is, in a high-tech country like Germany, it's a shame. And we waste and throw without care. Without care, we don't even think about what we are doing. So that's why we need a new model. We need a new model, and this model must accommodate actually two things. One is our natural system is shrinking every day. In Germany, 70 hectares, worldwide, millions of hectares. And every day, more people with higher living standards. So we need a model to cope with this, and this model cannot be environmental protection because it's never worked. It must be a kind of green business development. If you get the business people into protecting our environment, then we are safe. That's why circular economy is an economy. I'm always trying to focus this and talking to politicians and to parliamentary people. It's not an environmental ideology, it's an economy. This means there must be business involved, yes. Business plans, paybacks. So it's about securing resources and things, creating welfare and development, enhancing science technology. There's a lot of things to be developed in circular economy. Huge chances for developing countries and developed countries. Unique chances. Our academic partners, which are here from our circular economy network universities, they know this. And of course, reducing carbon footprint and ecological footprint, shrinking the demand of land we have, and allowing other people to have their own footprint. And all this is actually about investing in ecosystems. So ecologists must talk to business people. They must show them the variety of the opportunities and invite money into the ecosystem, intelligence, and then many things are possible. And some of those things I want to show you today. Even the European Union now slowly gets the picture. So the circular economy law they did this year by Parliament is still very much waste-based. This comes from Germany because circular economy in Germany was always a waste thing. Chinese are much better in this, thinking at least. But they know there is a lot of money to be made in the circular economy world. A lot of new business, a lot of new jobs, a lot of savings and climate protection. Now that's the picture is in Europe, I think, accepted. And circular economy itself is, as I said, much more than talking about just handling waste properly. Now, it means really breaking away from the simple idea of I can grab everything I want, I can throw everything everywhere I want. Forget it. The world is too small for this. So we're talking about the closed loop economy. So we really have to think about the neighbors. What are we doing to the neighbor? And what can we technically do to do our neighbor a favor? And how is the economy of this? So design out waste. In material flow management, we are not talking about waste anymore. Waste is a management failure. The wrong material at the wrong time at the wrong place. It's pure stupidity. No waste. Resource ideas, resource management. Resilience to diversity. Yeah, we need diversity. Human diversity and ecosystem diversity. This builds our brick wall, our firewall against destruction. We work towards using energy from renewables. This everybody knows, the very low-hanging fruit. And system thinking and cascade thinking. Very difficult. In a separated world where we have very highly specialized people, to get them into system thinking and cascading thinking is a big, big effort. But brains are still there. Money is still there, so I'm quite positive. Because of this, our institute, IFOS, one of the biggest institutes at universities in Germany and around Palatinate, we have a clear idea. Zero wastewater, same for wastewater, 100% renewables, and participatory finance means giving people a chance to get a share of the new economy. Then they will support us, otherwise they will not support us because they are living in a totally different world. And of course, optimization of flows of material. And my speech will be about showing examples, things we are already doing every day. With nearly 80 people, we are working on this. The cities of tomorrow will be prosumers. They will produce and consume. Right now they are just consuming, and they are taking resources from all over the world and they're disposing of normally outside the city borders. This will not be possible in the future. The city will be prosumer. They will clean their so-called waste and use it as a resource and an energy source. Cities will change their faces. And this already happens in Asia, actually. Germans are really, really reluctant to do this so far because they have very special pictures of how cities should look like. There are a lot of projects coming from the European Union. We are doing one, putting greenhouses on rooftops, taking the CO2 emissions of the people in the house and use the CO2 to produce plants on the greenhouse. Also use the exhaust heat from the house to heat the greenhouse. And then produce on a rooftop with the so-called emissions of the house, produce food or other products. So this is a project we are doing for the European Commission right now, and we're also doing a project which is very difficult in the European Union because you're not allowed to take actually protein which is coming from waste as a food source. So we are working in the very beginning, taking those residues, organic residues, but even plastic residues, turn it into protein, insect protein, and then feed this protein, for example, to fishes, aquacultures. This is right now a problem. We pay a lot of money for this to get rid of it, but actually it's a food source which we need, we desperately need. So this is going on right now on a large scale in Germany, and we are a little part of it. What we're also doing is actually low-hanging fruit. We show our people in a circular economy world, there is no useless thing. Even a rooftop, every rooftop has a potential. And if I want the normal citizen to implement this potential, I must make it easy for him. So I give him a map in the internet, he can click his house and can print a kind of business plan proposal for a banker. The banker also wants to have it easy. Sorry, Mr. Dorville, but maybe you know this. So he wants to have it easy. So those people can have their potential mapped, organized on an easy way, and can go and invest in harvesting the potential of their rooftops. And talking about solar energy, I just want to mention, because there are still people running around still today in Germany thinking solar energy is an expensive technology. It's such a tremendous nonsense. In Germany it's not, and I just brought you the result of the latest tender in Saudi Arabia. It's a gigawatt tender, and here the levelized cost of energy is $1.7 cent per kilowatt hour. No fossil energy in the world can cope with this. So renewables are there, renewables are in the business, renewables are in the market, we can use it for circular economy. What are the low-hanging fruits? We can immediately start to work, and that's why we're always inviting mayors to our conference, because they mainly handle and organize those materials. It's water supply and wastewater disposal. Now, it's solid waste, it's sludges, all kinds of sludges, it's fossil energy sources which we can use more efficiently, more effectively till we turn to renewables. All the renewable energies, of course, the buildings which we still today build on a very stupid level. We will therefore in this conference have our own section on green buildings to show you what's possible. And then you compare to what you are doing at home or what some architects still recommend you to do. Another shame, because those buildings are there for 50, 60, 70 years. Waste, fats and oils, traffic mobility, and special flows like tourism. Tourism places have a huge potential. So this is something you really can immediately tackle and improve. And some examples I'm going to show you. Well, sorry for my students to bore you with this, but the basic idea of circular economy is looking into your own metabolism, looking into your own system. What are you doing? Are you really adding value in your system, or are you destroying your system and burning all the resources and money in your system? What we are normally doing, very simple metabolism, throughput society, neglect all what you could do and just go the simple way of importing things and paying money for it. When you are poor, you always will be poor. When you are rich, you will get poor. So you have to think different. And this means map your potentials. What do you have? When you are a so-called poor man from Africa, then you still have a lot of potentials, a lot of issues you can start to activate, and then reduce imported material and reduce the money which is leaving your system. Every cent leaving your system is a lost cent. Keep it as long as possible in your system and try to make systems to accommodate money in your system. And then life is getting more easy. Start with easy, simple projects. Industry, the low-hanging fruits. I even have to kneel to pick them. But the industry still don't get the picture. Influx industry and a lot of so-called emissions. If you want to change this, you can start to change the metabolism in the factory. You can activate technologies to avoid emissions leaving the factory, and you can cooperate with the neighbor. And if you do this, you can greatly reduce the import and greatly reduce the emissions. Few examples to show you it's not theory. We are making our money with this, so I could write a book about it, but I also can show you some examples. This is just the air heating system, a few hundreds installed in a company, and it's summertime. In summertime, it's still radiating heat, so something is wrong. The company didn't know it. We map it, we take the potentials, we tell them you are actually burning, losing, wasting 1.7 million cubic hours. This means 170,000 liters of oil a year. And if you invest in a very simple technology, a little valve, then you have a payback of half a year. And then you are saving this money after a payback half a year. So it's pure business. Company did not know this. Pumping. 20% of all electrical demand in the world is for pumping. The mayors have pumps. They're pumping water, they have pumps in the wastewater treatment plants, we have in the houses, we have pumps, and all those pumps are more or less stupid pumps. They're old, stupid, outdated, the dimension is wrong, and they are sometimes just not necessary. So thinking about pumps, replacing them with new pumps or replacing the mode how they are run can save a lot of money, a lot of energy, and a lot of CO2 emissions. One very simple example is our small pumps moving the hot water in the German houses. It could be also cold water in tropical countries. So every household has one. And the normal households have the standard pump, the stupid pump. But they all could have this pump. The pump saves 120 euro a year and costs 300 euro. So it's a 3-year payback. And then there's a net saving of at least 100 euro per household. 40 million households, 100 euro. You can imagine how much purchasing power stays with the people. Closer to circular economy because it needs more brain. The two first things were no-brainers. Now we come to use our brain. You see this factory, and they have an energy issue, paying too much energy for lighting. So what you do, you see, okay, what they are doing, they're not lighting the workplace, they're lighting the ceiling. So you change the whole system of lighting and change the lighting devices. And then you have a payback of 2 years. 2 years payback is even industry, a nice business. So, to the low-hanging fruits. Now we're getting to the higher-hanging fruits. 15 years ago, we did this map for Rheinland-Palatinate, showing our government that they have a huge amount of oil equivalents in their counties which they are not using. They're not only not using it, they are disposing of this energy equivalents. And they pay money for it. So it's a lose-lose-lose situation. And we showed this biomass has a value of average 40, 50 million liters per county. And we started to activate this biomass. That's why today most of the counties are our customers doing those business things. Birkenfeld, some of you saw the district heating system based on biomass. It's all an outflow of this planning. This is a hidden energy we have in our organic material. Later you will listen to a speech from Namibia. They have also huge biomass potential. They could also draw a map like this. One example, greenery residues. In this state, maybe 50% of greenery residues now are used energetically. The rest is still composted. Composting is nice, but it's actually destruction of solar energy with the use of fossil energy. So it's the most stupid thing you can do, actually. If you don't do this, if you use this material, then you have a new supply chain, logistics. Here you burn not gas and oil, you burn your greenery residues, then you have to collect it, transport it, shred it, condition it, maybe try it, and then transporting again and use it in a new power, in a new plant. That's investment, 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 labor. If the kilowatt hour heat, the price for heat, is the same than fossils, then you have a huge added value chain, a real sustainable economy established. And just as a nice side effect, you get rid of the greenery residues because they are now a kind of oil and gas substitute. A neighboring county which you will go to on tomorrow, this county approached us 10 years ago and they told us, oh, we are very poor. They are actually all poor here in this mountain range. We are losing every year 300 million euro by purchasing fossil energy. And they asked us, what can we do? What can we do? And we told them, yeah, you can invest in your potentials. Map your potentials and invest, and that's what they did. This is when we started working. 100% energy, mostly fossil, and then we mapped their potentials. Mainly wind, some solar, some biomass, and a little bit wind, a little bit water. And now they are exporting electricity. They changed from being dependent on importing, suffering from high electricity prices. Now they make money by producing electricity on their own premises, switching from being poor and desperate to being more positive and contributing to the big targets of the German transition of energy. This is fact, it happened, and the former county chief will explain this to you, and the today county chief will explain it to you. So it's something what really happened and still happening. This leads me to two words about our German transition management. You know, we have a target of getting rid of fossil energies. The target is still there, policy is not. But we hope this will change in Berlin again. But no nuclear power by 2022 and mostly no fossils by 2050. So we have to be quick about it. It's not because of environment and climate protection why most parliamentarians are supporting this. There are not so many environmental people in Germany. It's because it's a business. And many institutes showed this. This is from Fraunhofer Institute. This is investment in the transition of the German energy system from fossil to renewable. It's an investment. Maybe it's 1 billion, 1 trillion, 1,000 billions. Or it's half a billion. It actually doesn't matter because investment money is coming back. And the money is coming back, as you see here. After a payback happened, the money is coming back forever. Limited investment and always return. So we can easily show that this makes sense for Germany to do this because we don't have resources and we have a climate problem and we need jobs for our engineers. That's why we're switching. And here we can give jobs to our engineers. We can keep our money in Germany because we are every year spending 100 billion euro for fossil energies. Okay, we are a rich country, but this hurts. It hurts. Until 2030, we will spend 2,000 billion euro for fossil imports. This is the most stupid thing you can do, seeing the climate change problems, and we are getting short of money because we must share our welfare with other countries, which I think is perfectly okay. So that's why we are investing for not needing to import fossil sources. We ask our farmers to give us energy, and our house owners, and our companies, our cities. our waste management system, they give us energy. And it's in the front of our door. Well, big numbers always for big impression for politicians, but if I talk to mayors, I must bring down the big numbers to small numbers. A village, 400 people, here in the Hunsrück area, something having like 700,000 euro energy costs, electricity and heat. Only 400 households, not many people. And the costs are increasing, and the people living here, they are not the well-earning, every year getting a higher salary people. They are people on pensions, they are people or maybe on social payments, they are low-income people. So they need to change something. So what can they change? Instead of spending money on fossils, they can start to invest money in renewables. When I'm telling this, they always tell me the same story. Dr. Heck, we are too poor to invest. We don't have the money. The same story I get from my African mayors. So they're the same. Then I tell you, you have money. You have the 700,000 euro, giving to fossil energy. Take exactly this money and start to invest it in your own people and your own solar, biomass, wind, water. And suddenly, the whole thing changes. Every money which is hard earned in this area is now starting to return and revolve in your system. You have your own energy system, built by yourself, for yourself, with your people. And that's what we are doing. It's a very old story. There was a mayor here in Westerwald, a neighboring mountain range. He said a very nice sentence, and I always have to repeat it. I like it so much. The money of the village for the village first. The money of Sri Lanka for Sri Lanka first. The money of Namibia for Namibia first. If you think about to keep the money as long as possible in your country, then you have jobs and innovation and cascading, and this leads to development. If you just spend it, it's gone. If you always spend, you're always poor. If you start to invest, you slowly get a stock which helps you to survive. Many calculations done for this state, other states. We're talking about billions of euro revolving in urban systems if people change the way how they metabolize energy, even food, water. If they start to think in their own premises, activate their potentials, they can activate a lot of money. This neighboring county, for example, can invest 10.5 billion euro and get the added value of something like 13 billion euro. This is a lot of money for a small county like the neighboring county. So for me, the energy problem is not a technical problem. It's a financing problem. And it's also a communication problem, and it's a problem of nexus, of networking, because whatever we do with renewables, we must be careful not to destroy other systems we need for resilience. Circular economy is about not destroying the neighbor system, what we normally are doing. So that's why we have a very big European project showing that energy transition is possible while supporting biodiversity. We can get even more biodiversity, and we can even get more bioeconomy. More value from a hectare, more value from a piece of land. If you have restricted land, you must get more value from a piece, from a square meter. And this we must convey to our decision makers. One example is biogas feedstock. Huge discussions in Germany about corn. Corn is the prostitute of the agriculture. Yeah? You can plant it, you can put everything on it, and it's growing, gives you nice yields, but you're destroying your soil and your ecosystems. Many people think like this. Sometimes it's okay. It's okay. Then we get rid of corn. After a lot of research and looking and searching, now we have another plant, which is a perennial plant, so it stays in the land. It's nearly the same yield, the same gas like corn. It's erosion protection. It has a nice flowering aspect for our insects. So now we're switching. We're switching from corn to this new plant, which English name I don't know. In German it's the Schwachsle Sylphi. So if you're interested in this plant, I can try to find the Latin name for you. Well, so biodiversity is a part of circular economy, and biodiversity in biomass is a especially interesting part because it's also enhancing biodiversity and soil protection. We need soil protection. We need also flooding protection because we have a changing water regime because of changing climate conditions. I just want to give you an example from a simple, stupid hedge. This is a hedge. We have been having hedges in Europe for ages. The function of a hedge today is multi-functional actually. We have one thing, aesthetics. we have erosion reduction, we have reduced losses of nutrients because the hedge is catching nutrients and metabolizing into biomass. Yeah, it's a kind of biodiversity support because of networks for biotopes. It stores carbon in soil by the roots. And most and for all these arguments, they don't matter because it's not yet business. Business is here. A hectare of this hedge gives you up to 10,000 liters of oil. So I can plant energy in the landscape with all the benefits, and I can harvest per hectare 10,000 liters of oil every year, which I can use to substitute gas and oil. That's what we are doing all over the place in Germany with our mayors. Biomass is anyway a very interesting thing because it's already stored solar energy. Now for our energy transition, we need biomass as a kind of buffer for solar and wind. So and if biomass is interesting, we must think about what is biomass. We have this, they are more or less nice woody biomass like our Namibian colleagues, but most of our problems come from this biomass. Smelly, ugly, stinky, slimy things. But the more smelly, the more ugly, the more slimy, the better for methane production. Then the bacteria like it and they give us, by metabolizing it, a lot of biogas, a lot of energy. So we can use both kinds of biomass. And when I'm talking to mayors, which are very poor, I ask them, how much organic household waste do you have? And they tell them the tons and the big problem they have with the wastewater problem, the leakage problem, and transport problems, and smell problems, rodent problems. And I ask, okay, why is it a waste for you anyway? If you have 1 ton organic waste, you own actually 50 liters of oil and 600 kilograms of fertilizer. You don't own waste. You own the opportunity to sell fertilizer and energy. The only gap is the decision to start to manage the waste as a resource. Attracting money, organizing markets. Not easy, but technically not a problem at all, no matter where you are. So your problem, this is a biogas production from many kinds of biomass. And I just highlighted organic waste. It's 60 liters of oil per ton. If you think you don't have oil, you have to import it from wherever, look into your organic waste. The oil is there. And the fertilizer. If you are in tropical, subtropical countries, soil is poor. Fertilizer expensive. Here you have it. You can turn it into fertilizer and energy. Fertilizer prices are going up basically. Oscillating but going up. So for the farmers in your area, it's very important to have a reliable supply of fertilizer which they can afford to pay. So here in this place, and this campus, and in many places in Germany, this waste is such a product at the end. This is what many people don't believe. That's why we bring them to these locations and we show them the input, smelly, stinky, slimy, ugly. And again, through the company, at the end, they can grab it, put your face in it, and smell soil-like substances. Just one technology. And this you can give to farmers. So waste and resource management is a brainer. We have to use our brain, yes. So we have to think in cascades, in circles, and we have to have a deep, deep look in our waste bin. And talking to many mayors in the last 20 years, I realized many mayors, they have no idea about the organic waste composition. This is a picture from Antalya in Turkey. This is their waste heap. It's no longer a landfill, it's a heap because they don't have place for a new landfill. They have real trouble. And I asked the mayor, why are you throwing this material on this waste heap? He said, because we have to dispose of it. Then I took him to the landfill. First time ever, he came to the landfill. I asked him, okay, why are you throwing this material away? He looked at me like I'm an alien. What do you want to do with this? And I told him, look, I want to do this. I want to do this. Take it out, sell it. Take it out, sell it. And by the sales, you pay for the taking out. And you don't have a landfill anymore. Technology is available. I brought him to Germany, he traveled a lot of systems, and now he invested Turkey is having Antalya is having a circular economy recycling system now. I gave him the prices for all the different things what we have in our waste. Market prices, best case, worst case scenario, and then you could compare the sales income from the investment. Well, that's why landfilling for me is so much outdated. And resource centers are so much in, because here you have a kind of industrial investment, even in a poor village, where you can show that resources can be resources if you let them be. If you put it in a hole, you always will pay for it. If you put it in a resource center, you will get a revenue, jobs, new products, taxes paid, revenues. There are some resource centers in Germany which you are going to see during your trip. Basically, so-called waste goes in, resources come out. In between happens a lot of economic interesting things. So why is not everybody building a resource center then? Now we are in the economy part of circular economy. And here it gets a little bit more difficult, because a business as usual wastewater treatment, normally with a landfill, a little bit recycling, whatever, a little bit, low tech, but not bad. This is here example from South America, a €7 million investment. A resource center having no waste, recycling nearly 90%, is €25 million investment. So when you are poor, you say, oh, I'm so sorry, Dr. Heck, but I'm poor, I have to go for this. But look what happens if you go for this. If you go for this here, then your treatment costs per ton are €19. If you go for this, your treatment costs per ton are €10. Here, actually, you can get rich. Here, you will get poorer. But this must be understood and must be proven by studies that investing in waste leads to higher investment but lower performance costs. And this we need to convey to our mayors and try to use this tool for developing places. Well, water, same story. What we are doing is reuse of energy, reuse of nutrients, because water is a cocktail of valuables. Wastewater is a cocktail of valuables. Basically, water, not so important for Germany, but if you're in the Middle East, water is the issue. They don't have water, so there's water in wastewater. I think we all agree on this. Then there is NPK, potassium, nitrogen, and phosphorus. There is organic material, which is solar energy. We can produce biogas. And there are the problems, heavy metals, hormones, which you also have to deal with. But that's the cocktail. And this cocktail actually leads to a lot of opportunities. We built a gymnasium here. And this gymnasium, after a long fight, we convinced the architect to build a separate pipeline to collect the urine separately. Again, the architect looked at us like an alien. Why do you want to collect the urine separately? We have one big pipe and it all goes to the treatment plant. Exactly, that's what I don't want. I want to have the urine separately. Why? Urine is a pure NPK cocktail. It's nearly pure. A little bit water and then nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. To mix it with water is the most stupid thing you can do. And it starts to smell when you mix it with water. And one more thing. So when you visit our urinals here, they are waterless, of course. And here starts the resource system. If you are not mixing with water, we can easily recycle. When you travel our Autobahns, the German high-speed roads, and you go to a privately operated restroom, they have waterless urinals. If you go to any public government in this state, they have flushing toilets. Now I ask you, who can have an idea of economics? The private, because they need it to save money. They make money out of it. So whenever a public building is built, there need to be regulation, don't flush urine. It's a payback of 1.5 years in Germany not to flush. So circular economy starts very early, very easy. What we are doing with wastewater today is washing a lot of excrements with a lot of, in Germany, drinking water, and then building huge cities under our cities to transport the water. This is Hamburg. There's a city under Hamburg, nobody knows the city, you can drive a truck through for handling wastewater and stormwater. A huge sewer system is built, all built in Germany. That's why it's so difficult to change something in Germany. There's an energy demand of a 50,000 people city used for treating Hamburg's wastewater. So we build it in Germany, and we have a tendency to explain other people that what we did is good for everybody. Very dangerous. Because we were never meant to be a circular economy in Germany. This is not circular economy. It's a typical linear economy. It's very expensive. We have one nuclear power plant running for supplying our wastewater treatment plants in Germany with electricity. Yeah? And we have a huge sludge problem. So this needs to be changed, but difficult talks with all ministries. It's much easier in Middle East, much easier in Africa. They're building new systems. They can actually jump a technology. They don't have to follow us in this. They can work with less water or no water. I mentioned urine. There's actually one Belgian university, they're collecting urine and they're paying students for the urine because they want to show that the value of nutrients in the urine is a market value. Technically, it's not a problem actually to separate nitrogen and phosphorus from urine. So if you put wastewater in here, you have two stripping and washing technologies, and after this, your wastewater, your urine is this. It's a kind of pellet system which you can use for farmers. This is former urine. So technology exists, some examples exist. This is from Berlin. Berlin is doing this. They are selling the former urine as fertilizer to people. Well, the energy consumption of wastewater treatment. I told you one nuclear power plant running in Germany. We want to change from fossil to non-fossil, but nobody's really tackling this issue with a lot of energy. Most energy used for aeration. We're giving our aerobic bacteria a nice life. And then up to 25% we use for pumping, pumps again. So we optimize the pumps and we change the aeration to anaerobic, non-oxygen treatment. And then you are actually switching in a totally different world. Most of our treatment systems, they are aerobic, using energy to treat wastewater. CSP is COD, is a measure for organic. If you don't want to use energy but get energy, just change to anaerobic, biogas. Technology exists, not a big issue. So we did this in one treatment plant close to here in Weilerbach. We actually took out a part of the raw material. Yeah, before it goes to aeration, we put it out and put it in an anaerobic fermentation. And what happened is really very interesting. This is status quo. You don't do anything. Lazy guy. You don't do anything, you have high costs every year, 140,000 euro increasing. Or you start thinking about your metabolism and invest. Invest means paying your people to do something. And then the costs per year go down. And the costs go down and down and down, and the costs in the status quo are increasing. And if you put this in a graph, then the circular economy gets visible. This is a linear economy. Every year people are increasing their wastewater fees because they're doing nothing. They're just watching the wastewater to be cleaned. And energy price goes up, they must increase the wastewater fee. If you invest in your wastewater, if you invest in your shit, that is always laughing people at this point. If you invest in your shit, then you have to pay back the investment. This means you have a certain time till the investment is paid back, and then, see, the wastewater treatment costs jump down because the system is paid back. The problem we have here is not an economic problem, it's not a technical problem, it's a political problem. Because the mayor who decides to do this has to convince people that for 17 years they pay a higher waste treatment fee and then it goes down. Politically impossible. That's why we have to take the money which we earn here, we have to take into this system. So the revenues from the future must be actually opted at T0. And now we are in a lot of nice models for pension funds, they could invest in this. In 138, 50 treatment plants could invest each 3 million euro and get exactly this status. It does not yet happen because it's not very clear for everybody so far that this could be done. Well, 2 case studies to finish. Cape Verde, We did a 100% renewable energy study for Cape Verde. Poor country, not so poor, but still poor. They have a huge potential, you see this? And the demand in 2020, which is a quarter of this potential. We made a business plan for them. We told them, only green kilowatt hours is not what you need. You need basically green kilowatt hours, a new industrial development. You need water. It's a desert country. You need water. You need mobility. So we made a holistic plan for them and see what the outcome is. Levelized cost of energy. This is what they pay today. I'm talking about circular economy in an African country in 2015. This is the cost today. This is heavy fuel oil, diesel. They use this for making electricity, and this is the costs they would have if they go fully renewable. Fully renewable with different storage technologies and with different use of the excess energy. So from the first day on, they would be cheaper than what they're doing now. And this is actually due to many African countries. Surplus energy can be wasted, or we can use it to produce water from seawater, desalinized water. We can produce cooking gas. We can produce kilometers electromobility. So if you have too much cheap electricity, you have a chance to develop your society. Right now they cannot develop because they think they have expensive electricity. Second example, Dubai developed a 200,000 people city concept. Dubai asked us, they were here 5 years ago, make us a concept for no waste city, no wasteful city, fully 100% renewable energy city, and show us the economics. We did it. Technically it's not a big issue. What I want to show you is just the brain use. The city for us is not the nice buildings and the roads and the happy people walking there. City for us is the flow of materials which we are generating, which you have to metabolize into the optimum winning situation for the city. So what is the water going to do? The gray water, the black water, the yellow water. And how can we add most value from this water to the city? Same for solid waste. And we're thinking solid waste from the start to the very end, including biochar, including food production, soil production, biogas. At the end, you have the economics. You know, all the slides before only interest maybe 5% again, and this slide interests the decision makers. A city having a totally new metabolism means what? Impossible, stupid German idea because they are so rich? No, this city actually has compared to a conventional city, a better economy. They are making money out of their metabolism. Saving money, making money, collecting energy, metabolizing into end users' consumption. And this was the fascinating thing. Yeah, we can develop cities, they are actually prosumers, they are producers and consumers. And in Dubai, new city is perfect because, you know, they can start from the scratch. They don't have to fight ministries and architects and engineers about what water should do and what water should not do. They just take the best solution. Well, as I mentioned on Monday, while you are here, you are carbon neutral. So we make a calculation of the trips you did to this place. We try to see how much CO2 we produced by trying to be circular, and then we will plant trees to compensate your travel to us. And these trees we plant with citizens in this area to show the citizens that what climate protection is. It means they get the value from us. They get the tree, and we plant it for him, and they have a connection to global warming. So it's a nexus world. I think you got the clear picture that we're talking about nexus, water, energy, waste, soil, waste nutrients, water nutrients. There's not an easy line. It's always in the gray zone. But being in the gray zone for an academic is a very interesting place because there's a lot of things to do academically, and for mayor it's a lot of things to achieve for a political career. If you really step into this zone, there's so many new things you can do. If you do it right, people will love you and vote for you. Well, clever men solve problems. Forget about being clever. Try to be wise, avoid the problems, and make money with it. That's my basic message for circular economy. Thank you so much. Well, now my task is to invite Patrick Dorville to the floor. He is a lecturer at our campus and a very knowledgeable guy about financing and waste. And I think it's a pleasure to listen to him because he traveled a lot of places. He knows how the money world works, and he has, of course, ideas about metabolism of resources. I'm very happy you're here today, and I'm looking forward to your lecture to us.
Vielen Dank, Professor Heck. Many thanks for inviting the European Investment Bank, and many thanks also to the team of Professor Heck for organizing this great event. And I think IFAS and Birkenfeld Hochschule is getting more and more to become the hub, the regional hub for anything regarding circular economy in this region. So anyhow, happy.
Das kein Vertrag.
Better. All right, thank you. Happy to be here. And as I said, many thanks for inviting the European Investment Bank. My name is Patrick Dorville. I work since more than 10 years at the European Investment Bank based in Luxembourg and responsible for circular economy, waste management projects financed by the bank, mainly from a economic, technical, environmental point of view. So our main is to carry out due diligence of project financed by the bank. Obviously, monitoring, etc., becomes it's also part of our daily job. So I will give you very quick introduction about EIB itself, what we're doing, why circular economy in our topic for today is quite relevant. And also, since we're talking here about international projects, and the audience is also mainly international, I'll give you a flair about what the bank is doing outside the European Union and talk about external investment plan and what solid waste management and circular economy is important, what are the drivers for financing, etc. But I see that Professor Heck has used a lot of time, so actually the first break has been foreseen for half, but I'll try to do my best to catch up. European Investment Bank, this is one of the EU institutions, but a bit different. This is a self-financing institution, and the main objective of the bank is to implement EU directives. So meaning, at the end of the day, this is a financial instrument that the European Union is using to implement EU objectives. And coming back to our main topics for today, circular economy, waste management, etc., you will see very quick that the interest of the European Union is not just only, within the border of the Union, but it goes beyond the EU 28. The bank is AAA rated, so meaning we raise money to invest in the capital market, and we finance long-term investment. So as a matter of fact, the bank did some roughly 78 billion euro investment last year in 2017. Very important for us. In absolute terms, even though we're talking about more or less 90% of our business within the European Union, but nonetheless 10% of our investment, we do that outside the Union. So in absolute terms, if we do something like 78 billion euro investment in the Union, so you will see also outside Europe, in Africa, Caribbean, Pacific, etc., we did something like 7 billion a year, which is quite substantial. Just to give you another example, we're 3 times bigger than the World Bank together. So you can imagine what kind of volume of business we're talking about here. So another thing quite also important, this is a policy banking. So in contrast to commercial bank, so our main purpose is not for profit. Of course, some profit at the end of the day, but this is not the main objective. The main objective is, as I said before, to implement EU objectives. So having said that, I mentioned that already, so 78 billion investment last year. And also, as I said before, policy banking. Policy means, so EU has some priorities like climate change, addressing climate change, like, for instance, resources management. And this is highly relevant for us people working as technician at the bank. So that means, in contrast to a commercial bank, the first thing that you will look at is the return, how much % I'll get at the end of the day. But for the bank, in terms of project due diligence, we look at, first of all, what are the main purpose of the European Union, whether this project fits into objectives of the Union, as I said, within Europe and outside Europe. This is how a policy bank works. Outside Europe, and I'll come back to that later on, because I presume anything that we're doing outside in Africa, Pacific, Caribbean, etc., might be or is quite relevant for this event today. So talking now about the topic of today's circular economy. Circular economy is at the target of the European Union. And you remember, as I said, as its starting point for whatever EIB is doing, we look at what the European Union is asking us to do within Europe and outside Europe. Circular economy, since 2015, is one of the key objectives of the European Union. So they came up with the circular economy package, asking member states to reduce waste, to recycle more, etc., etc. So for the bank, this is quite important because we have 3 pillars. So, and then I'll come back to that also when I talk about our activities outside Europe. So in contrast to a standard commercial bank, we have also things like project preparation. So we have instruments inside the bank like Jaspers, helping member states to prepare this project. We have a so-called hub, we have a so-called PASA to prepare those projects. And I'll come back to that later because this is high relevant for us. So meaning that many times when we talk about the financing, this is not the main problem. The main problem is how to realize proper feasibility study and etc. to be able to get finance, to get funding by international institutions. As I said, one of the pillars is advisory. So that means we have inside the bank also a so-called ICEC, because many projects are PPP, PFI scheme. So that means we have advisory to advise people, project promoter, how to set up a proper PPP deal. We have also inside instrument to help project promoters to realize feasibility studies, etc. But again, as I said, as international outside Europe, I will give you some example how it works and how it might be relevant for the whole discussion here today. As I said, since 2015, Europe is putting circular economy at the top agenda and for our activities. So meaning inside the bank, we have a dedicated working group working on that one. We organize some events and some portals, etc., etc. And we came up also with some innovative financing instrument. Because you might remember, you know, in sensu stricto, circular economy is not just only reducing recycled waste. This is, you know, a new concept, like, for instance, people talk about sharing, economy sharing. So that means at the end of the day, you want to travel from A to B, but this is not the main purpose to have your own car, but you can share and etc. Those are a new concept. And meaning for the bank, this is also key. So that's the reason why we're working also in new financing instruments. So you can see kind of paradigm change nowadays. So for a bank like EIB, some times ago, we used to finance, you know, physical infrastructure. So you want to have a new treatment facility, we finance that. But because, as I said, circular economy, we have to rethink our way of doing business. So next point regarding priorities outside Europe. As I said before, the interest of European Union is not just only within the borders of the Union, but it's also outside Union. Like, for instance, tackling climate change. When our president goes to any international conference and he decided to commit the bank 25% of our investment supposed to be dedicated to climate change. And these targets cannot be achieved just only within EU 28. It goes beyond. It goes for our activities in Africa, it goes for our activities in Latin America, etc., etc. So, activities outside, priorities outside Europe, and this is what I said at the beginning. You receive a new project. Of course, as a bank, you will look at the return, you do your economic financial analysis, but as I said, this is not the entry point. The entry point, you said, well, what Europe, the European Union, is asking you to do. The European Union is asking us to look at, you know, strengthening private sector involvement in business. Waste can do that. Circular economy can do that. And Professor Heck mentioned that before about jobs creation. The European Union is asking us to secure energy supply. In the beauty of our sector, we can tick this box as well. Environmental sustainability, you name it. So that means we receive a new circular economy, resources economy, waste management project. Those are things that we check whether it is in line with EU objectives. And as a matter of fact, as I said before, 28% of our business, of our financing portfolio are dedicated to climate action. So I shall stop promoting our activities, but just to give you an idea, since we're not a typical standard commercial bank, right? As I said, this is not just only financing, this is also blending. I will come back to that because we blend a lot with the European Commission money. Highly interesting for the discussion today. And advising. Meaning that, as I said, you know, new project PPP, because we presume as a project promoter, we don't have to have the expertise, but we do have that because we've seen that in a lot of different projects. As a matter of example, 90% of my project portfolio in the UK are PFI, PPP based. So that means when we talk about circular economy, which type of financing instrument inside the bank, we have that. So those are those three pillars that the bank, that make up EIB activities. So now, as I said, outside Europe, we are using both instruments, EIB instrument, financing, but also highly relevant for us, this is the so-called blending EU grant. So that means for regional, for Africa, we have the so-called African investment facility, for the Caribbean investment facilities, etc., etc. So those are EU instruments providing grant to any kind of project that we are doing in this given region. So now, coming back to circular economy and waste management, this is the beauty of this, because in all those regions, you will hardly see inside EIB or within the European Union that someone is telling you, no, waste management, circular economy is not top priority. No. As a matter of fact, I mentioned at the very beginning, yes, those are top priority for the bank and for the European Union. So very important, I had a discussion some time ago with Professor Heck. So regarding financing, and I mentioned that at the beginning. I said, well, financing money sometimes is there. But problem is, this is the first step of any financing, of any project financing, meaning in clear terms, projects are not well prepared. And this is a key problem for us as well. So that means you want to receive grant money from the Commission, and then you go to Brussels, you realize, well, you have, instrument already there, right? But now you ask the client, mayors and project promoters, well, do you have a feasibility study? It might cost you 40, 50,000 euro to give you technical aspect, financial aspect of this project, landfill survey, composting, biogas, who will take off on this energy, etc. The small part, this delta, unfortunately, is missing. So another example, I had last year a new project in Argentina, Huwer, close to Bolivian border. Just to give you an example, 50 million investment from EIB. We went to Brussels with this project. We get 13 euro grant money. Grant money to prepare project, to procure project, to strengthen capacity building within the municipality and the ministry, etc., etc. So you can imagine so far, for other regions, it is hardly to see, well-prepared project coming to the bank and etc. coming to the Commission. I repeat myself, even if it's blend grant money or investment money, the same. So projects are not well prepared, and this is a problem. I remember our, president of the bank, Werner Huwer, was in Bali some weeks ago, had made a statement regarding a new instrument to tackling plastic in ocean. Clean Ocean Initiative, together with Agence Française de Développement, AFD, French bilateral organization, and KfW, Kreditanstalt für Wiederaufbau, French, German bilateral organization. 2 billion investment for the next 5 years. Clean ocean, tackling plastic waste in ocean. So I look at the map. 10 major rivers in Asia, Africa, etc. You look at also the cities, the countries where you can finance on those projects. But the first problem, or the main problem, is not those 2 billion committed by the bank with AFD and KfW, but the main problem is to receive a proper documentation, proper feasibility of a project. And this is something that we shall take with us to think about it. Financing, of course, this is an issue, but this is not the major one. A new instrument also that the bank is putting in place together with the Commission, this is the so-called external investment plan. So that means we have dedicated envelope for Mediterranean countries, for Africa and neighborhood, and Asia, and etc., etc. So at the end of the day, the idea is to duplicate something that the bank has kicked off some 3-4 years ago, meaning you put some investment, and then you use the bank as type of catalyzer. So that means all other financing financial organization will jump into this business. So that means if you make an investment of, I don't know, 10 billion investment, as type of catalyst effect, you realize something like 300 billion investment. And this is the so-called Huwer plan. And this is something that we realized in the last 4 years within the bank. And nowadays, we're working on something similar for business outside Europe. I talked already about this regional blending, AFIF, Caribbean Investment Facility, and et cetera, et cetera. So this here to give you an example how we blend with the other EU instrument together with EIB investment facility. I talk also about the 3 pillars. You know, not just only, and this is also be reflected in the new external investment plan for the bank. So that means you have some key indicators to achieve. Sustainable development is one of them, of course. Climate change, circular economy, jobs creation, involvement of private sector, you name it. As I said before, I repeat myself, the beauty of our sector, we can tick the box, we tackle all of them at once. Energy supply, of course, as well. So this is the idea about external investment plan. So that means you put some money as kind of investment and you have some multipliers effect. And then we did the same, as I said before, in Europe, the so-called Huwer plan. So another instrument that we are putting also in place, which is a key problem for doing business in Africa, in the Caribbean, Latin America, this is the guarantee. When you want to get the private sector involved, they said, well, there is no guarantee for our business if something goes bust. And then one of the instruments is to guarantee the business, to have a dedicated envelope to guarantee the business outside Europe. I also mentioned already the importance, how relevant technical assistance is, project preparation, which is very important. And as I said, this is a problem that we are facing every day. So that means you discuss with the municipality, region, mayor, outside Europe, of course, and you realize there is no project preparation, you know, in terms of good feasibility study, which is a very serious problem. So I also talk about the blending instrument between EIB and the other facilities set up by Europe in SCP, Africa, Caribbean, Pacific. And I also mentioned the so-called economic resilience initiative, mainly tackling neighborhood countries, Tunisia, Morocco, Egypt, etc., and also some Balkan countries. And I also talk a bit about external lending mandate. This is something that we're trying to put in place to attract more private investment. And I also mentioned also the guarantee instrument put in place for the bank. I do believe at the end that, you know, for all of us, we know the drivers or the triggers why circular economy, why sound solid waste management. There are business opportunities. I think Professor Heck mentioned that, you know, not only in Europe, but also outside Europe. World Bank they think that we need some more than 40 billion US dollar investment to fill the market gap. But we know why we're supposed to do that. We're supposed to do that not just only as it was 20, 30 years ago, protection of water, health, etc., but on the top of this, we protect climate, we produce, as Professor Heck was saying, you know, digested energy and fertilizer, etc., just to close the loop. In terms of climate change and resources management, we clear on that. So that means if you take an example in Europe, European industry depends heavily on raw materials. So we're talking about more than 200 billion euro investment in buying new materials. So you realize what the capacity of recycling can be or could be for just only for the European market. And the same thing, the same rationale goes also for cities, countries outside Europe. If you see the main problem nowadays, plastic in the ocean, but at the end of the day, this is resources in wrong place because plastic is not more, not less than fuel. So I think in a nutshell, this is my message to say, well, there are a lot of investment opportunities. They are not just only in terms of investment from EIB perspective, but also there are grant money from the Commission, from bilateral organization, etc. But as a takeaway, project preparation, this is what we are seeing every day on our daily job. This is really, really poor. This is something that we shall discuss. And we also say that, this is not just only about health protection, circular economy, waste management. This is more than that nowadays. This is energy supply, this is fertilizer, etc., as I said at the beginning. And at the end, I mentioned that, at European level, so we have all those regional initiatives like AFIF, like Caribbean Investment Facilities, like external investment mandate, etc., like guarantee for doing business in Africa. So all in all, I think this is really the right time to strengthen, to speed up investment in our sector. Thank you, vielen Dank, and yeah. Danke, danke. Danke, vielen Dank.